And we're live. How you doing, Josh?
Man, feeling a little tired actually.
Really?
How about yourself?
Not too bad. Maybe we should pop one of these energy drinks, man.
I think I'll have myself a Red Bull.
Josh, when was the first time you actually tried an energy drink?
First time, remember I was at the skate park in 2001. I was 8 years old. My dad bought me a Red Bull. I just saw it behind the counter and I was like, well, that's a weird looking soda. And so I asked my dad if I could have it, and he's like, yeah, I'll buy you one. So I got a little can just like this, these little 8.4 ounces. Kind of just a weird number. But I got one of those cans, and I fell in love, dude. It was a flavor I've never had in any other soda or any other drink.
Right.
Very unique. When's the first time you had an energy drink?
So, I remember the first time that it was Monster. Monster was my first energy drink. Me and my buddy we were skateboarding in Sierra Vista, Arizona. I don't remember the year it was exactly. I was probably like 11 maybe. And we were skating behind where the old Hastings used to be. And there used to be a Circle K back there for anybody that lives in Sierra Vista, Arizona. Yes, that's where I was born and raised. But there used to be a Circle K back there, and it was me and my buddy and then our other buddy. We're always out there skateboarding, whatever, because we couldn't skate in front of the store. But we went to the Circle K because we were thirsty, and we couldn't make up our mind on what we wanted. And we were like, you know what? Let's try a Monster. You know, they were still the same price they are now, and you know, this was 12 years ago or whatever. But and it was this kind of the same thing. Like we tasted it, and I was like, wow, this is different. And it was definitely I guess it was just interesting, like something you're not used to. You know, like I drink a lot of Dr. Pepper. It's my favorite pop, soda, Coke, whatever you want to call it. And so like to go from like that to like Monster, like the flavor was just it was tantalizing almost.
Right.
And it was kind of weird. I never really got into energy drinks that big. I'd go down to the gas station here and there and get one every so often. And now I'm kind of an addict, drinking 2 a day.
Right.
At least.
So honestly, dude, I think that's a pretty normal narrative of like somebody's daily life in this time of history, because a lot of people, I see a lot of people guzzling down energy drinks.
Yeah, it's almost like a daily dependency for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, that's they estimated in like, I think it was like 2012. I'm paraphrasing here, so don't hold me to this, but it was like a $12 billion industry.
Oh, I believe it.
The energy drink business. So
I believe it, and I think a lot of that comes from a lot of them sponsor like extreme sports, X Games, things like that. You know.
Yeah, I think the UFC is a big one in Monster right now.
Yeah. So which one do you like the most? Is it still your classic Red Bull, or has it changed?
I like Full Throttle. When Full Throttle came out, would have been about 2004. I had a can of it, and I fell in love with Full Throttle.
Full Throttle was they changed the recipe probably, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. They changed the recipe a little bit. My favorite one was the Blue Demon, when it was the Blue Demon one.
Yeah.
And not just the blue one.
Right.
And they changed the recipe a little bit. But it's still not bad. I kind of moved away from Full Throttle. NOS used to be really big when I was in high school. That was my go-to. That or Monster BFC. Do you remember the BFCs?
I do. Oh, the big fucking cans.
Yeah, they were like, it was like a 32 ounce.
Yeah, I think you can still find them some places.
Yeah, it's like a 32 ounce can of Monster.
Yeah, you opened it up and it had that sound.
No, these were different. You're thinking of the tall ones that have the screw top on them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
No, the BFC was like an actual can,
oh,
like a pop top
big old can. Yeah, you don't find those.
No, they quit making them.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, man, I used to get off the bus and I'd sneak off campus before class started, and I'd run to the gas station, go grab 2 energy drinks, and for some reason in high school, everybody, like I was known for having energy drinks, and all the girls would be like, oh, I want a drink. Well, before I knew it, I'd go through a can. So I thought, you know, me and my brilliant self, I was like, I'll just buy a BFC, whatever, you know, and then it'll seem like I have 1 can, but it's actually the same as 2. Well, no, it didn't fix the problem. But yeah, you don't find those anymore, and it's kind of a bummer.
It is.
You know. But I moved away from NOS, and Monster became my go-to for a long time, and then I switched to Red Bull. I really liked Red Bull. I just didn't like paying the price. Like, I think
it's always been very expensive.
Yeah, and I love it with fucking Jaeger, dude. Oh my god. Like, Red Bull and Jaeger, oh, Good times.
Oh yeah, Kettle One Red Bull. That was always my go-to drink.
See, I've never had vodka and Red Bull ever.
It's just tastes like Red Bull with just a splash of vodka. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's kind of been stereotyped as a college kid drink.
Yeah, I mean, but you like what you like, right?
Exactly. See, I always kind of considered energy drinks almost like when I was a kid. I used to like pretend like it was like beer for kids.
Right.
I don't know, because it wasn't soda, and obviously it wasn't alcohol. But like I used to just think like, when me and my friends got together, and we're like 12 years old, and we have cans of Monster, Red Bull, like it was just the coolest fucking thing. Like,
right.
We just felt awesome. Plus you're getting the sugar rush, and it was awesome.
Do you remember like your first experience? Did you feel different after drinking it?
I don't remember like how I felt after the first time drinking it. I just remember I fell in love with the taste of it. But I definitely do remember times of drinking 2-3 energy drinks back to back, and feeling amped up.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, speaking of amped up, remember Amp?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah,
Amp's a great energy drink.
They don't make Amp anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
it's changed. It's not the same.
Do you remember the Mountain Dew MDX? It was like a little bottle. Like a tiny bottle, but it was like an energy drink.
It was like, wasn't it like a hybrid, like energy drink / soda?
Yeah, and it was only out for a short amount of time, but it wasn't a full 20-ounce bottle. It was like maybe a 16-ounce bottle, but it was tiny.
Right.
Like I drank a lot of that actually. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amp definitely changed their recipe now. Pepsi's doing Game Fuel, which is like Mountain Dew and
isn't that kind of a hybrid too? It's kind of like a soda / energy drink.
Yeah, it's not bad. I've had a couple of them. They're not terrible. Mountain Dew went to the Kickstart for a while, and Kickstarts are pretty good. I drank a lot of those when I was working at the grocery store. Every time a new flavor came out, I had to try it, and I was hooked on the black cherry one that they have. Yeah, that one, and then the lime one when it came out. Those two were my favorite, but. Yeah, dude, I've probably tried just about every energy drink that there is out there. The only one I haven't tried is Spike, and that's because I heard that one's pretty rambunctious.
It's pretty potent.
Yeah, never interested in trying it.
Yeah, I've tried many energy drinks, and I find energy drinks interesting because some of them I really liked, and then they just went extinct. Like you can't find them. One of them being Red Jack, or some places it was called Big Jack. I don't know if you ever had one of those energy drinks. Oh, it tasted like a melted sour red Jolly Rancher.
What?
In liquid form. It was awesome, but it went extinct probably about 2011, 2012. I stopped seeing it. But yeah, I tried to buy a case off Amazon, and they say that they're out of stock.
Yeah, they probably don't make them anymore.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And have you ever noticed, like in different parts of the country, they have energy drinks that you can't find, like here?
Yeah. It's almost like it's native to that area.
It's like native or like regional. And in Albuquerque, they sell one called Mad Joker and Talon.
I've heard of that.
And Talon, and I'm sure there's other states that sell it too, but I can't find it for the life of me here in Nebraska.
I've heard of it, and I've probably seen it at some point when I was traveling through New Mexico, because it does sound the Joker one sounds familiar. But on another note, it's kind of like, so when I was in Arizona 2 years ago for Christmas, I went to McDonald's there. They still have the original hot and spicy McChicken on their menu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually you can't get that in Nebraska.
No, you can't.
I ordered like 10 of them. I was like, dude. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I wonder if maybe the geology of where certain energy drinks are located might just be because of where they're manufactured.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like you remember Science, which was promoted by the UFC and things like that of being a healthy energy drink. You used to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And now you don't. Like
No.
you could, like, if you look for it, I'm sure you could find it places. And I know there's a couple gas stations I've been to that carry it, but it's not something that you see as commonly as you used to.
No.
But the ones that are really starting to pop up a lot are Bang and Reign.
I see those everywhere.
And honestly, it's really interesting. We'll get into those two specific energy drinks and a couple more that are more on like the not necessarily nutritious side, but more on the healthy side of energy drinks.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, energy drinks have become a big part of not just adults' life, but even people in high school.
Oh, absolutely. I think the first market was probably high school age kids and middle school. Like I said, I started drinking them when I was I was elementary school, but I drank them all through middle school and high school.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure adults have been drinking. Working adults have been drinking it. Yeah, probably since they came out.
Oh yeah.
But that kind of just makes me that makes me wonder about the history of it.
Yeah.
You ever looked into like the history of energy drinks?
Honestly, I haven't, man.
Well, because like I remember in the '90s, I barely remember the '90s. You know, I was born in '93, and so I remember like '99. But like there was a time where you really didn't see energy drinks.
No, they weren't really a thing. I remember it was like, I don't remember what they were called, but it was right when energy drinks were starting to come out, and they came in like an aluminum bottle, and there was Fire, Rain, and one other one, and it almost tasted like juice.
It was like Jolt or something.
No. I don't remember what it was called, man. And it was the first energy drink I ever had. But I don't consider it an energy drink, like when I look back on it, because it wasn't like this.
Yeah.
It was more like a Sobe. You remember Sobe was kind of like that first step into the energy drink world. And then obviously Sobe's kind of died back a little bit. You don't see it as often. Like you see it, but it's not as popular as it was.
No, not at
back
all.
in like the early 2000s and late 90s. But I remember for sure the coming up of energy drinks, and I would say that Monster really was probably the one that really set the foot probably for all energy drinks except maybe Red Bull. I think Red Bull had their own thing going for themselves. If you went Monster and Red Bull were the two that if you went into any gas station you could find them.
Yeah, and you still can.
Oh yeah, and the thing that blows my mind is how many different flavors they've come out with. And I'm not a big Rockstar guy either. I don't know if you like Rockstar. Believe it or not, my favorite Rockstar is the original.
That's my least favorite energy drink ever.
So it's kind of weird when I want an energy drink that just has a weird like just potent taste. I go to Rockstar because the original Rockstar has probably the most potent tasting taste that any energy drink could have. And I think that honestly that's why I like it. Like that's my favorite. And I've tried like the punched ones and stuff like that.
That's if I'm gonna do Rockstar, that's my favorite. And also the punch has a lot of caffeine in it.
So and that's I think there's kind of a competition out right now to see which energy drink can put the most caffeine. I don't know if you've heard of 3D Energy. It's kind of a new up and coming one too. I had one at work the other day. Remember the green can?
No, I can't say I do.
Maybe you weren't there. Well, whatever. It tastes like Mountain Dew. It was really good. But that one had 200 milligrams of caffeine in it. And that one wasn't bad either. But I think I've gotten to a certain point where energy drinks don't affect me as much as they used to. There should be like 160 grams of caffeine in that.
Yeah, and that's about normal.
Yeah, for an energy drink.
Yeah.
But you look at Reign and Bang, it's 300 milligrams.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But I mean, of all the flavors you've tried and all the different brands you've tried, what would you say is your go-to like now?
Probably I like the cranberry Red Bull.
I honestly haven't tried any of the Red Bull flavors. I think the last one I tried. Nope. Don't think nope. I heard the peach was really good. I haven't had the peach yet. But again, it's just like Red Bull's been really one of those that I've kind of backed off from just because price wise. But anyways, you were talking about the history of energy drinks and yeah, man, I would say probably like going into the late 90s, they're probably like energy drinks were probably a thought at that point, but weren't really a thing.
Yeah, they were kind of a thing, but they didn't have near the presence. I kind of have a theory about it. I would say probably 2001 to 2004 was the energy drink revolution.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that's when you got a lot of these big brands that came out and stayed, especially in the United States. Now, fun fact for everybody, Red Bull's been out since 1987. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Because it's not an American drink. It's actually Austrian. It's from Austria.
Really?
Yes. And so it's been around since 1987. I don't know when it actually got introduced to the United States, but I don't remember it till about 2000, 2001. But in 2001, of course, you got Monster.
Yeah.
That's when Monster came out. I believe it was Pepsi that first brought it out, and then it kind of became a brand of its own.
Yeah.
And then I think that same year out of Las Vegas, you had Rockstar. Rockstar became a thing. And then 2004, Coca-Cola released Full Throttle.
Yep.
Which honestly, dude, I think that's just an underrated energy drink. I thought it tasted great. And
it still does.
And I thought it gave me a good amount of energy.
Yeah.
Because some energy drinks just never worked. They never do.
Yep.
And then NOS also came out. I think that was like 2005, 2006, released by Coke. And another underrated energy drink.
Yep.
I think it tastes great.
Remember when you could buy NOS in the little NOS bottles?
Yes, and then for some reason they just stopped making those.
Yeah, I thought those were the coolest thing ever.
And all it was just like a normal bottle with just like a really interesting screw
cap.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think that it was like in that short amount of time that everybody was dropping energy drinks like that. And
well, yeah, and honestly, energy drinks are really just soda with just a little bit more ingredients.
And a little more caffeine.
Well, yeah, a little bit more caffeine. Before the energy drink revolution that I just mentioned, that's my word. That's my phrase for it. You had a kind of like what I like to call experimental energy drinks. And what I mean by that is these companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and maybe even just some independent companies, they came out with like Surge, for example.
Surge.
Yeah, Surge was supposed to be competing with Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
And a lot of people liked it, but for some reason, they yanked it for whatever reason. And that was kind of like it kind of had a little bit more caffeine than your normal Coke product.
Kind of like Mountain Dew.
Right. Well, they pulled that, and then like a couple years later, they came out with Vault.
I remember Vault, yeah.
Yeah, I loved Vault.
Vault was good. Absolutely.
And I think they always... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, remember the commercials? They would always advertise it as like drinks like a soda, kicks like an energy drink.
Yes.
Which I found that to be bullshit because I just thought it drank like a soda, like a really good soda.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was, especially ice cold on a hot day, man. It was refreshing.
Yeah.
It's kind of bummer because they don't make it anymore.
No, they yanked that.
All these young kids will never know what it was like to drink an ice cold Vault.
Yeah, just like we'll never know what Quaaludes were. Yeah, you young kids will never know what Vault is. So
yeah, exactly.
You miss out on something.
Yep, every generation misses out on something for sure. And it actually kind of surprised me when they brought Surge back. Really.
Yes.
Because they brought that back, maybe 2-3 years ago?
Right.
And I was like, oh, wow, okay.
And it was like a petition. I think it was just a bunch of dudes that just wrote Coke and had a bunch of signatures and said, bring it back.
Kind of on a different, subject, but same subject. So, like Mountain Dew. Like, my favorite Mountain Dew flavor of all time was Livewire. And you could never find it. And then I would tell people, I'm like, do you remember Pitch Black? And everybody's like, what do you mean? No, I don't remember that. I was like, it was like a sour grape. And then all of a sudden, Mountain Dew started releasing all their flavors again.
Yep, it was like 2016.
Yeah, and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. And now again, like one of my favorite sodas was Coke with lime. I love Coke with lime. So anywhere I go, when I go to places that have the little machine in there where you can add all the flavors, I always get Coke with lime. But Pepsi Lime released again. And so I was like, it's kind of interesting because I'm seeing all this stuff from my childhood coming back rather slowly, and it's kind of a good thing. But I guess the one constant that's always been there is Monster and energy drinks.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you guys see this stuff on the table. We're not endorsed by any of these brands.
Not yet.
We just simply want to talk about them and our experiences with them. Lately, I've been on a big Reign kick, especially that one right there, the Orange Dreamsicle. Probably the best flavor you'll find in Bang. Now, a little while ago, and I say a little while ago, it was a couple months back, there was an article that was put out about a kid that ended up in the hospital, a 15-year-old kid, mind you, that ended up in the hospital after drinking a Bang. Here's my suggestion to you guys, anybody that's listening to this. Bang is not a typical energy drink. If you do not work out on a consistent, at least daily basis, do not drink Bang. Because it has super creatine in it. And it's built as a pre-workout energy drink or a post-workout energy drink. And that's why it's designed the way it is. And that's why it has 300 milligrams of caffeine. They actually recommend it as a pre-workout, basically. I couldn't imagine drinking a whole can of this and then going to the gym. But that's why. It's not designed for the typical consumption like a Monster or Red Bull or a NOS. yes, it's got 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is great, but if you're not working out on a daily basis, it's probably not for you. And definitely not for anybody under the age of 18 years old. And it says right on the can, not recommended for people under the age of 18. So parents need to realize that when they're buying these things for their children, or when kids are buying this stuff, that there are certain health considerations that have to be taken into effect. Because I'm sorry, a 15-year-old kid typically can't handle 300 milligrams of caffeine. I started drinking coffee when I was 6 years old, so I have a pretty good tolerance to caffeine. And there's days that Bang kicks my ass.
Mm.
And I mean, there's also days I can drink a Bang and go to bed. I fell asleep mid Bang one time. I mean, it happened. It's just, but yeah. So when I read the article and I was reading everybody's comments on it, and everybody was pointing out the same fact of that typically it's it's meant for somebody 18 years of age and older. Now here's the interesting part. So one serving size is one whole can of Bang. What's the serving size for a Monster?
2.
Yeah. So technically, one serving size is 8 ounces.
Yep, 8 ounces in a 16-ounce can.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not gonna drink half the can. I mean, I can drink 3 of those in fucking 4 hours. I mean.
Plus, it'll go flat.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's another thing to consider when you're looking at buying energy drinks for your kids. Look at what the serving size is too. Based on age. I'm pretty sure a 15-year-old. I'm pretty sure probably a 12-year-old could handle 8 ounces of Monster and be fine. But when you start looking at like doubling that, it's a lot to consider. But when you start looking at energy drinks like Bang and Reign even, so Reign and Bang have BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, which help with protein synthesis, which is basically it pulls additional nutrients out of the protein and assists in muscle rebuild. And that's why those energy drinks, the only place I could find them for a long time was at Rexius Nutrition here in town. A lot of the other stores have picked them up. You can get them at gas stations now, grocery stores, whatever. So they're definitely becoming, there's more of a presence for them, but they are more designed as a nutritional energy drink, if you want to say they're nutritional at all. But so that's not know your stuff, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first time I ran into the energy drink Bang was 2014 at the Vitamin Shop.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it, and then I don't know, a couple years later I started seeing it at gas stations, and I want to say 2017 I started seeing all these new flavors at Hy-Vee.
Yep.
And it blew up, and now I see people drinking Bang and Reign all the time.
Yep. Now Reign is almost, like I said, the only difference between Bang and Reign is the fact that Reign doesn't have super creatine in it. That's the only difference. They both have the CoQ10 in it. They both have the BCAAs. And actually, Reign actually has electrolytes in it, which is actually better for you. But it's definitely, in Reign, I didn't really see start popping up, and God, dude, probably early this year was when I really started noticing it.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say it was earlier this year.
And everybody was starting to drink it, and I love it, dude. I really do. They have great flavors. A couple other flavors are a little sweet, but they just taste sweet. There's actually no sugar in these, so that's probably one reason why I prefer these over a Monster. But I do, when I drink Monster, I do drink a lot of the Ultras.
Yes.
The sugar-free, calorie-free ones. Especially if you're looking at losing weight and you need that push of energy. There's always options out there. And I know there's sugar-free Red Bull too, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the 0 calories, 0 sugars energy drinks has definitely picked up, I'd say, in the last 3 years.
Yeah, well,
sure.
I mean, before this, I mean, the most healthy, the healthiest one you could probably find was probably Science.
Probably Science, and then the white Monster.
Yeah, the white Monster for a long time.
The Ultra, yeah. And Science, it didn't pick up. I would see people drinking it every now and then, but not like Monster, not like Red Bull, and not like Bang and Reign.
No,
not
at
near,
all.
Not near on that level.
And I think that's probably the theory would be that's why the UFC switched to Monster.
Right. Oh yeah, you see Monster everywhere. You see it in NASCAR. I mean, you see it in just about every major sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a big presence in our culture, and I just learned from a buddy who spent a little time. He lived 2 years in the Philippines, I believe, and he said Monster is huge over there. They love Monster.
I believe it. Which actually, this is kind of funny. Do you know who actually has the recipe for Monster?
And I do not.
It's actually ADM.
ADM.
Like the grain company.
Oh yeah.
Yep, they're the ones that developed the recipe for Monster.
Kind of makes you wonder.
It's something I learned. I toured one of the ADM plants, and it's kind of I had no idea. Honestly, you would never think that that a company like that would be the one that developed the recipe for that.
Right.
And kind of blew my mind. But yeah, I do feel Monster did change the recipe a little bit, because I remember like the first time, like when I first tried it, it was kind of like that, like Rockstar does for me now. It's like, oh, that different flavor, and they've kind of changed it. Their Gronk flavor tastes like Red Bull, so I drank a lot of that because it was like just a bigger Red Bull. But I would say that probably like Monsters overall, if I had to choose, would probably be like my go-to for just average every day. Like I don't drink when I'm at work. I drink 2 energy drinks. I drink one when I get there and one after lunch, and then on the weekends I might have one. So I mean, is it an addiction? Probably.
Absolutely.
Now, do you know what the placebo effect is?
Yes, I do.
So, do you think somebody like me, who has such a huge tolerance to caffeine, do you think that like if I'm really really down and I'm like, man, I really need a kick, and I go drink an energy drink, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, you think that might have that might be a placebo effect in some way, shape, or form?
I think in some capacity, absolutely.
Because like I actually asked somebody at work about that today, and they go, I don't think that's a thing. I'm like I do though.
Yes, it is.
Because I have a huge tolerance to caffeine, and it's like one Monster doesn't really pick me up. Like
no,
I drink it for the flavor. I don't drink it for the caffeine.
Yeah, honestly, energy drinks are very nostalgic for me. So sometimes, some days, caffeine affects me more than others.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so obviously the caffeine definitely takes effect, and the sugar and everything. But yeah, and energy drinks are very nostalgic for me. Like I said, I was 8 years old when I was introduced to them, and ever since then, it's just been. I mean, I've kind of had times where I drank, a multitude of energy drinks, and sometimes I've taken breaks.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like it's just been a love-hate. It's been a very toxic relationship with energy drinks, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's expensive too. Like.
Well, like, have you ever been, like, trying to, like, maybe diet or just, like, kind of watch what you're, taking?
Nope.
And, you're like, I'm not going to drink soda, but energy drinks are okay.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely had times like that.
I've been there.
Yes. But in all reality, you're still drinking soda.
Yeah, you got a very solid point. Actually, I cut a couple years ago, right after I really got back into the gym, I cut energy drinks for a month, for the entire month of February, which is kind of weird because it's the shortest month of the year. But I cut energy drinks for an entire month, and I actually cut them longer than that when I was in basic training. I was basic training is 9 weeks, so figure a month and a couple months. Didn't have an energy drink, nothing. My first weekend at AIT, man, I drank a Monster, and I could literally feel it just eating my stomach. It was terrible. And it's become such a thing. Like, your body becomes used to it. It's like smoking. It's like anything.
Right.
Your body becomes used to having it, and when you don't have it, can I tell you, I've had withdrawals from it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I have to.
And it's not withdrawals from the actual like energy drink. It's withdrawals from the caffeine.
Caffeine and probably everything else in it too.
Oh man, my first probably 6 days of basic training was just terrible. Like I had headaches. Like just if you've never had a caffeine headache, I hope you never do have one, because they are the worst headache you'll ever have in your life. And it's just, and I actually had a buddy who actually was diagnosed by his doctor. He was addicted to Dr. Pepper, and because he was drinking like 2 12-packs a day.
God.
I'm like, that's not just the caffeine, but think about like all the high fructose corn syrup, all the sugar
right
that's in that. And it's just, people, it's kind of crazy. Your body becomes addicted to things that you don't even think about.
Exactly.
Like, who would have thought you could become addicted to Dr. Pepper?
Oh, honestly, it's not a surprise. I mean, soda's it's had a very large presence in our culture for a long
Oh
time.
yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, but did you know that like when Pepsi and Coke were first introduced to the market, which would have been the later 1800s, they were introduced as an energy booster?
Were they really?
Well, yeah. I mean, are you familiar with the popular myth that Coca-Cola used to put cocaine in
Mm-hmm.
there? Well, that's not true. But what is true is that Coca-Cola gets its name from the coca leaf
Mm-hmm.
and cola nuts, which they used both those things in their original ingredients.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between cocaine and coca leaf. Obviously, you can't get cocaine without coca leaf, but coca leaf is it's a very natural plant, and it actually has some very healing effects to it.
My mom actually has a coca tree.
Right, as you know, cocaine really doesn't have any healing effects.
No, and and there's chemicals that do
Yes.
what it does.
It's a synthetic version of coca leaf. But yeah, that's where Coca Cola gets its name from the coca leaf and cola nuts. Now, they did change their recipe, so you don't get the coca and cola buzz, but you definitely get the sugar rush, especially if you're a young child being introduced or if you're sensitive to caffeine. But
Yeah.
yeah, both those drinks were introduced as energy boosters.
Wow.
This predates, any energy drink.
Yeah.
And then it was actually 1929 that the UK released energy drink. They released it in hospitals actually, and it was called Lucozade, which they still sell to this day in the UK.
Do they really?
Lucozade.
I might have to find a contact in the UK and have some of that mailed over here.
Yep. And then 1949 is when there was an energy drink out of Chicago called Dr. Enough. Right?
Interesting. I wonder if you can still find it over there.
Well, do you know what the motivation was? So according to what I've read, the motivation was to try and basically find an alternative to a sugary soda, but basically to have like a soda but full of vitamins and energy giving substances in it.
Okay.
That was the motivation.
Okay.
I don't think it worked out the way that they wanted it to, but
It never does, unfortunately.
but obviously it was a start into a bigger market.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna ask you, have you tried I think it's called Fit Aid? It's like supposed to be like another like healthy energy drink.
I have not. I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's called Fit Aid if I remember correctly.
Fit Aid.
And it wasn't very popular, but it's also an expensive energy drink. It's like $3 a can. But it's called Fit Aid, and there's like two other flavors, but they all do something different. And I had a buddy who like swore by that stuff, and I never tried it, honestly. I kind of stick to what I know.
Right.
So
So what do you think it is though? Like why did people get away from, the traditional coffee? Because that's what people usually have been going to for centuries is coffee for energy. Why did people get away from coffee and want an alternative? What do you think it was?
I don't think it's that everybody went away from coffee, so to speak.
Obviously not. I mean, Starbucks and scooters are big industries still.
Yeah. I think what it was is it started as a fad, kind of like vaping. Like somebody tried it, loved it, introduced somebody else to it, and it just blew up. I think that people prefer energy drinks because they're cold. You can drink them cold and they're still good. I mean, I like iced coffee, but I mean, it's that taste of having like kind of like a soda, and knowing you're getting that energy in there. Like I'll get up and still drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
Mm.
I mean, just get my day started. But I can't drink, like, for me to get the caffeine that I need, I would need like a fucking 8 shot of fucking espresso, dude.
Yeah.
Like in one sitting because of my tolerance to it. Like my dad drinks coffee all day, every day. That's all he drinks. And so I think it's more of a generation thing. I don't
Right.
think it's necessarily the fact that stuff's gone away. Because I know like I'll go out with I'll go grab coffee with a friend, and we'll just drink coffee and talk. And I mean, so it's like the desire for it's still there.
You think there's a little placebo effect in coffee?
If you're doing it for the energy, probably.
Yeah.
I like coffee. I drink coffee because I like coffee. I like when I drink coffee, I don't think, oh, I'm gonna be up for fucking 8 hours. Like that's unless you're drinking army coffee, and then you're gonna be your stomach's gonna fall out, and yeah, it's just a whole nother mess of shit. But yeah, I've never, because I know guys that's all they drink, and I'm like, and they seem to have energy like crazy. But I think for like guys like us, our issue with energy is just the shift we work.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand, if you've never worked a night shift job in your life, you don't understand like the hell. And I use that term very loosely, because it's not, the shift itself isn't hell, it's just the way your body gets used to it. It messes with your energy levels. Because, like, realistically, your body naturally is supposed to produce melatonin at night to keep you asleep. So when you're up at night, it kind of works in a negative effect, because your body, when it sees the sun, doesn't produce melatonin the way it should. And that's why usually night shift people are reliant on stimulants to keep themselves awake, because their body is, I mean, you know it, I know it, you know, there's weeks where we go to work, you know, we show up on Monday after a 3-day weekend and we're just exhausted.
Yeah.
It's just because our schedule's so crazy. And I think that it's not even just our schedule, but anybody who works past, you know, 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, you know, their energy levels and their body chemistry is so off that it's just, they rely on, you know, stuff to help push them through the day.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I think that all of that plays into why energy drinks have taken over the energy side of things, and why coffee's kind of died down a little bit, you know. But like you said, Starbucks and Scooters are still popping up, still making money.
Yeah.
So people still like their coffee. I mean,
no, I don't think the industry died down. I just definitely noticed that, you know, coffee's been around forever, and it had, you know, virtually no competition. You know, you had coffee and tea, and then all of a sudden, energy drinks just kind of popped out of nowhere. Yeah. Like I said, the energy drink revolution.
Well, Starbucks kind of has their own energy drink. They have their double and triple shot, you know, their cans.
Yeah, and that all goes into cold coffee, which, you know, that's technically an energy drink.
Yep, because Monster did the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly, to answer my own question, in my opinion, it was definitely to open up to a whole new market, because a lot of kids don't like the taste of coffee.
No, if you talk to 90% of kids today, like, you're like, oh, you like Starbucks? Yeah, I like Frappuccinos.
No. Do you like coffee?
Yeah, exactly.
Not hot milkshakes. You know.
Yeah. Do you like coffee?
Yeah. And also, I think the big one is probably convenience. You know, everything you just talked about with the night shift and, you know, needing a little extra energy. I mean, a lot of it goes into convenience, and so energy drinks, you know, you got that can.
Yep.
What do you think about, like, the energy shots? Like, you know, I remember 5 hour energy. Gosh, the first time I saw one was probably like 2006, and I know they were around before then.
Yeah.
But that market kind of blew up too. Go to any gas station and look by the register, and what do you see? You see lighters, and you see, like, maybe some beef jerky, but then you will see energy shots.
Yep. I think I think 5 hour energy was like the more natural. They were looking for a more natural form of energy. I'll tell you this, 5 hour energy hasn't done anything for me. I've taken it. I mean, I used to take it a lot, actually, and it didn't do anything different for me than a Monster would do. You know, it just, I thought it would be a lot different. Not really.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, the extra strengths, I used to take 2 of those when I was working for Cisco, and I needed the energy big time, and I would take 2 extra strength 5 hour energies, and I thought they worked, and there might have been a little placebo effect involved, but they were definitely convenient. Definitely took less time than slamming down, you know, 2 16-ounce Monsters or something.
You know, I guess that's one of the things that, like you said, energy drinks are kind of nostalgic for you. I honestly, I like being able to drink an energy drink over, you know, a half hour or an hour even. Sometimes it's just nice because it you know, you can prolong that a little bit. Pop one of these, bro, if you need another one.
Oh, I'm good.
But yeah, I would definitely say convenience has a lot to do with it. I mean, I couldn't imagine living in a city where everybody goes to Starbucks every morning to get their coffee. Like, waiting in line is just one of those things I look at it and I'm like, man, you're waiting in line for like a $6 cup of coffee. Like, I can get an energy drink for $2.
Yeah, just don't go to Starbucks if you're a police officer because you'll get kicked out.
Well, definitely don't go to Starbucks at all because their coffee's shit. So I mean,
And don't go through the drive-thru and smoke cigarettes because they will ask you not to do that.
oh, will they?
Yes.
To ask me to do something? Ask me to not do something in my own vehicle?
That's right. You capitalist pig. But no, I guess the question that like I'm trying to get to ultimately is, why is it today, that people need quick energy? Because don't tell me because it's the workload. Because ever since the Industrial Revolution, people have been working very hard.
Oh, absolutely.
And even before the Industrial Revolution, people were working, they were working on farms, they were working, even in cities, and they were working really hard.
Yep.
But why is it today, with more people working behind desks, and, not everybody works a job like you and me,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people work behind desks, why is everybody needing or feel like they need energy?
So, you ever heard the phrase, an object in motion stays in motion?
Absolutely.
So, and this is from my own experience. So, recently I started working out with Devin, and I used to be able to come home. I'd go to bed at like 4 a.m. and I'd sleep untouched till 2:30 in the afternoon. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple of weeks after I started really hitting the gym really hard, I've been waking up at like noon, 11:30, 10 in the morning, and I'm going to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning. And so I think what it is we've moved away from the healthy lifestyle that, and even back then, maybe it wasn't as healthy as it was, but people were getting home cooked meals.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't subject to all the like the fillers and the things that they're getting.
Processed food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the thing is as we've progressed through the generations, we've gotten not necessarily lazy, but we hurt so much for time in the need to do things that we forget about our health and what we're putting into our bodies. So the thing is like if you eat like shit, you're gonna feel like shit. And so yeah, you're gonna wake up and you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to go to work today, or whatever it is. So the best thing to do is stop at the gas station, grab an energy drink and a fucking donut, and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where a lot of that comes into play is people aren't taking their health very seriously, and how what you actually put in your body actually affects it. And like for us, man, we have a very labor intensive job, and even when we're there, it's hard for us to eat healthy. Our vending machines don't cater to that, and unfortunately for us, we have to deal with what we got. But, me, last couple weeks, I've done my own meal prep, things of that nature. And I can definitely feel a difference when I'm eating healthy as compared to when I'm eating like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of that need for energy comes from, is people are more about the convenience now than they are about the actual taking the time to actually take care of themselves.
Right.
The whole self-love thing was a big push at the start of the year. Oh, self-love, love yourself, whatever. Well, I mean, yeah, I like it's not so much about self-love as it is about just taking care of yourself. So many people say, well, I don't have time. Yeah, but you're also important too. Like, you have to take that time, because and I tell people this, I'm like, if you start eating healthier, you start working out again, you're gonna feel better. Like, Joe Rogan preaches by it, man. Like, he talks about it all the time, and I talk about it. When I didn't work out for 6 months, and I drank more, I slept more, I was less productive,
Mm-hmm.
and now that when you get back into it, man, it's kind of crazy. You don't think that your body can do it, but it's kind of like basically like re-jumpstarting your system, especially if you haven't done it in a while. It jumpstarts your system, and your body's like, all right, dude, let's do this,
Right.
And I think that's a huge portion of why people are so dependent on stimulants to get through their day.
I think that's probably the best way to say it. I couldn't have said it any better. It's all about immediate gratification, basically.
Yeah.
You want the energy right then and there. I mean, because working out and eating healthy, I know the benefits of it, but
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort, and it takes some patience and time.
It does. It really does. And people don't want that. Again, it goes to that instant gratification. They don't want to take the time to get those results. Unfortunately, I think a lot of that too is, I don't know about you. I try not to do it. When the moment I wake up, I get my ass out of bed. I know a lot of people, they'll wake up and then they'll sit on their phone for 10, 30 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
Just scrolling on their phone while they're laying in bed. Like, that's going to do nothing to me but tire me out.
Yep.
And I'm going to want to go back to sleep. And so, like, for me, when I'm ready to get up, I get up and I get my ass out of bed. And it's that mentality that you got to have is, you know, it's time for me to get up. I got to get the fuck out of bed.
Yep.
Like, I'll get up. I'll go throw the coffee on. I'll get a cup of coffee and then I'll go through my notifications, whatever, you know, see what text messages I have or what I got going on for the day. And then, you know, I start my day. And I think that also plays into it a little bit too, is people just, there's no desire to get out of bed right away. You know, back in the day, man, it was like, you know, it was all about the hustle. You know, like you said, people were working their asses off.
Well, it was you worked or you died.
Exactly. And so, like, we've lost that as a generation. And desk jobs have really become a huge thing. And that's also to blame partially on technology as well. You know, like you mentioned the Industrial Revolution, you're talking almost 100 years ago. You know, that's huge. And yes, that was the only, they had to work hard because that's how it went. But, you know, now we have so much automated stuff that people really don't have to work hard anymore. And that's where it comes in, is like their bodies get used to not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start losing that natural form of energy that they have. And that's where a lot of that comes out of. So, at least in my observation, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can definitely say the people that I do know that work out, they can run easily on 3-4 hours of sleep, which isn't healthy for anybody actually, but you know, they can make it work.
Right. And also working out, you know, we talked a little bit about Bang being a pre-workout. I mean, we definitely know a guy at work who uses, at least he used to, use pre-workouts basically just to get through the day.
And he still does.
And, you know, that's like one of the worst things. I mean, it's one of the, I mean, to me, I haven't done the research into it to know really how bad it is for you. But definitely my experience with pre-workouts, it's not like taking an energy drink.
So the common misconception, a lot of people like to use pre-workouts as a form of energy, which it does work. But here's where it's not the best decision to go. And a lot of people, those are people that feel like they have to feel the energy in their body. And the whole point of pre-workouts is to, depending on the formula, they have some that pump water and blood, but the main point of a pre-workout is to pump more blood to your muscles to get a better pump during your workout. And that's why. So imagine if you basically increased your heart rate to the point that you were pumping so much blood through your body, but you weren't doing anything with it. Like your heart's working 2 to 3 times as hard,
right,
but you're not working 2 to 3 times as hard.
Exactly.
What's that going to do to your heart?
It's basically just going to overwork it and basically flood it with blood.
So here's the thing: a lot of people don't realize that the heart's a muscle.
Right.
What happens when you overwork your muscles?
They get sore as fuck.
And you get tired.
Yeah.
So is using pre-workout as a source of energy a good idea?
I don't think so.
No, because you're literally overworking you're overworking your heart, and you're actually gonna make yourself more tired. Like if that's why it's designed to go work out, because you're actually tiring out a different part of the body, and the heart is pumping blood to those muscles so you don't get tired as fast, and you can get a better workout. That's the whole point behind it. And you're kind of defeating that purpose when you're not going to the gym and utilizing the actual effects of a pre-workout.
Right.
And that's the situation with Bang, is if you're not working out all the time. Now, super creatine is more for repairing muscles, so that's why it works as a post-workout energy drink as well, for that purpose of that. But yeah, when you start looking at pre-workouts, it's a whole nother story, and definitely not a good source of energy at all.
No.
Just energy. Now you can buy low stimulant pre-workout that doesn't have the beta alanine in it that that gives you that pump and that itchy feeling. But some guys love that. I'm me personally, I hate that feeling. I hate feeling like my face is gonna like just completely just like I want to peel it off. Like that annoys the piss out of me. But it just depends on the individual, I guess. And I think that some people use pre-workout because they want that feeling. That's just me. Like C4, that's what he uses. Does it to me every time. Every time. And I remember taking it before a PT test one time, dude. I'm sitting on the bus as we're driving to the lake to go do a run. I'm like, I just scratch. I'm like rubbing my face, dude, because it was just like I was so itchy and I was hot. Like I got really hot, and I was like, I don't like this. It's not cool. I sampled this one that Rexius gave me a couple weeks ago. It's called Zeus. That was some intense shit, dude. I was like, I went to the gym. I probably got the best pump that I've ever gotten, but I almost threw up because it messed with my stomach that much. So, but back on the whole energy drink thing. I mean, they all have their purpose.
Right.
You know, there's a couple here that I like that I didn't pick up, unfortunately, for this. One of them is Murica Energy.
Murica.
It's kind of cool. They have one. It's called it's called like Freedom. It's just called Freedom, but it's like a bomb pop. You remember the bomb pops?
Yes.
Tastes just like a bomb pop. They have one. It's Make America Grape Again. It's a grape flavor. There's one that's actually called Impeachment, and it's peach flavored.
2020, baby.
Yeah, they did a little play on words with their energy drinks, but theirs aren't bad either. But I mean, I'm all for trying new energy drinks. I mean, I just like going back to the original stuff that I started with.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's one thing I can appreciate about Monster and even NOS and even Red Bull for the most part.
Yeah.
Is they have not deviated from their original design.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that because that's very nostalgic for me. And honestly, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Now, Monster's obviously created like 30 flavors.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've definitely expanded their flavors, and they've gotten rid of some. They've kept some that have worked, but they've kept their original cans, and I appreciate that.
That's like their new one that's out, and it's not even new. I mean, I had it back in July, or not July, April, May. It was May, and Fort Riley was the mule flavor, which is like a Moscow Mule.
Yep.
And it's good. I love it.
I didn't like it.
But I've tried just about every flavor of Monster there is. When I was in Hawaii, that's when the Pacific Punch one launched, and they had a huge sale. It was like $3 for $5. So I was drinking like 3 of them a day, and it was just like it reminded me a lot of like the Rockstar Punch, but better. It was a better flavor. They used to have one. It was in a yellow can. I forget the name of it now, but it was a mango flavor. And that one was really good. Another one that we didn't mention was Venom. You ever had Venom?
Yes.
It's like a 99-cent energy drink.
Yeah. That got big for a while, and then it's kind of died down a little bit. I mean, it's still around, but it's not. And they don't have like the vending machines and shit that they used to have.
Yeah.
And they've changed their containers. You mentioned Sobe earlier. I don't know if you remember the energy drink Sobe No Fear.
Yep.
Again, I thought that was kind of an underrated drink, but they yanked that from the shelf.
Yeah, that one you don't see anymore. The one that I was really thinking about was the one, I don't know if the public, you can buy it at Dollar Tree now, but it was really common among soldiers was Rip It.
Oh yeah, because you can get a case of it for like what, like $20?
Yeah, it was like super cheap, and people would buy it by the case, especially on like when they were overseas.
Oh, I've heard multiple stories from guys overseas who are like, yeah, I had a heart attack on that shit.
Yeah, it was one of those super intense ones, but you can still buy it today. You just
it's not that it was like super potent. It's just that guys would drink like 10, 12 at a time.
Yep. So I mean, the energy. There's so many of them out there, man. I mean, we could go on for days about this, but
yeah, and I just think it's safe to say energy drinks are not going anywhere. It's just they're here to stay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're definitely here to stay, and they're not going anywhere. I think they get a worse rep. I mean, they're obviously not the best thing to put in your body. We can all agree on that, but they're in today's world. They're not the worst thing out there that people are putting into their body. When you think of all the processed food, I mean, I think they get a bad rep.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they're definitely not something that I would see. I don't think it's good.
Give me the nos real quick.
I don't think it's a good idea to try and try and say that they're healthy or good for you, and by any means. But it is what it is.
So this is something that was actually pointed out to me. So not to talk bad about either of these brands, but here's the one thing that people need to know about Monster. Monster gets a really bad rap. People say Monster is terrible for you. Let me tell you something. Out of all the energy drinks, aside from Bang and Reign, and let me see that Red Bull can real quick. Let's see. Sorry if you're listening to audio. I'm reading the ingredients at the moment.
You read the ingredients, and I'm going to tell the audience about another thing that Monster is bad. I don't know if you've ever heard, but there was a lady who had a video.
You need to find this video. You really do.
Who was saying that Monster represents Satan because these three scratch marks or smoke, whatever you want to call them, these are actually an old Hebrew symbol for 6. So you got 666, and on the back of the can you got a little motto here that says "Unleash the Beast." And if you've ever read Revelations, or you've ever read the Quran, it always talks about the beast. Yep. So every time you're drinking Monster, you are literally guzzling down Satan's semen, according to this lady. And
is that like slurm?
And when you drink a Red Bull, you're literally guzzling down Chuck Norris's urine, according to this lady.
So, to finish what I was saying, so if you guys look at NOS and Monster, and Red Bull actually sits in with Monster now, because looking at the Monster actually has no high fructose corn syrup in it.
Nope, sugar.
And neither does Red Bull. So when you start looking at energy drinks and which one's healthier, NOS does contain high fructose corn syrup.
Yep.
So Monster actually is probably a better choice.
Yep.
Believe it or not. Because your body actually does need some sugar. It does need it. So when you're looking at like Monster actually uses sugar in their energy drinks. Yes, is it still good for you? No, because that one's sugar free. Hold on. Yeah. So this is a standard Monster green can. There's 54 grams of sugar in one can of Monster. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. That's a lot of sugar. Like your daily intake of sugar should be probably right about that total for the day. So yes, there's a lot of sugar in it, but when you think about like the chemicals you're putting in your body and things of that nature, just remember that Monster and Red Bull do not contain high fructose corn syrup. Neither does Bang or Reign. Obviously, they don't have any sugars or calories per can. But that's the biggest thing I wanted to touch on too was the fact of if you're looking for a choice to make a healthier decision between like Rockstar and Monster and stuff like that.
And healthier is not the right word. It's more like the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, exactly. Healthy is not the right term, but
we got you.
Yeah. So always keep that in mind as well. Read the ingredients on what you're taking in. It definitely will help you out in the future. So, Josh, I think that pretty much covers energy drinks, man.
Yeah, at least for today.
Yeah. We're not We're not endorsed. We're not trying to talk bad about any of these energy drinks. We're talking about our experiences and things that we've dealt with. Thanks for watching. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, your family, the pygmies down in Africa about us. We'll be back next week with another episode, and you guys stay cool, all right?